Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrindavanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrindavanachari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrindavanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrindavanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Vrindavanachari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhavarajagacharya Asto Darasadrishi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Bhavarajagacharya Asto Darasadrishi Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavadinda Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktananda Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol All glories to the some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories to some devotees. All glories, Shri Shri Guru and Garanga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The deities are not going to Jai. What are the names of the deities?
Nitai Gauranga, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga.
Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Ki.
Jai.
Two. I have to renounce one.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We are very honored and blessed to have a wonderful association of His Grace Anuttama Prabhu. Anuttama Prabhu is one of the very dear disciples of Srila Prabhupada who came in Krishna consciousness way back in 1975. As a college student, he was very eager.
Oh, don't read all that stuff. Just summary.
So, devotees want to glorify Krishna, they don't want to hear their glories.
Yes.
But other devotees want to hear glories of other devotees. But so briefly, I will speak a little bit. So, Prabhu came to Krishna consciousness in 1975 and joined. And he was thinking, he was searching for various paths, and then he thought, now I will try out this Hare Krishna. Till I don't find anything better than that, I will not leave. And since then, till today, Prabhu is practicing Krishna. helping us to understand that this is the best way, the path to God. Prabhu got initiated in Vrindavan in 1976, and since then he has been very actively involved in various wonderful services. He served as deputy president of ISKCON Denver for many years, where he developed many wonderful programs there, like Festival of India, and then also wonderful parade which goes on the St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Since 2000, he has been serving as a member of governing body committee GBC. He also served as a chairman of it a few times, and he is also international communications director. And as an important responsibility as a leader of ISKCON, he helps training other leaders. He conducts many wonderful courses, which I was very fortunate to attend. Almost many of them or some of them. He conducts a leadership and management course, then ISKCON disciples course. He was involved in developing the curriculum of it. Then he also takes ISKCON leadership course, being guru in ISKCON. Then so communications course. So every year he travels around the world training leaders, so that leaders can be effectively empowered to do their services wonderfully. He is actively involved in interfaith dialogues, and he represents ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya teachings to secular and other religious worlds. So we are very blessed that every year he makes a point to come here and bless us. So we are grateful for his kind mercy and affection on all of us, that he comes every year to give valuable worship. So let's welcome His Grace Anuttama Prabhu to ISKCON Newtown Shri Taigoran Temple by loudly chanting 3 times.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, entitled Maharaj Nimi Meets the 9 Yogendras. And we're starting with 15. There's a couple of very short purports. So I've been asked to read through text 21. And 21's on the board here, right? So we'll just, so I'll read 15. You can just listen all the way through 21, then we'll do 21 together. Priya Vrato Namo Suto Manosvayam Bhuvasya Tashan Agnitras Tato Nabir Rishabhastat Sutta Smitaha. Swayambhuva Manu had a son named Maharaj Priyavrata, and among Priyavrata's sons was Agnidra. From Agnidra was born Nabhi, whose son was known as Rishabdev. Purport: the genealogical background of the sons of Rishabdev is given in this verse. 16. Tamahor Vasudevam Sam Sham Mokshatama Vivakshaya Avatirnam Sutta Shatam Tasyasid Brahmaparagam. Sri Rishabdev is accepted as an expansion of the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva. He incarnated in this world to propagate those religious principles that lead living entities to ultimate liberation. He had 100 sons, all perfect in Vedic knowledge. 17. Tesham vai bharato jeshto narayana parayanaha vikyatam bhasham etadyan namna bharatam adbhutam. Of the 100 sons of Lord Rishabdev, the eldest, Bharat, was completely devoted to Lord Narayan. It is because of Bharat's fame that this planet is now celebrated as the great Bharat Varsha. Sa bhukta bhogam tvaktvemam nirgatas tapasa harim upasinastat padavin lebhevai janmabhistribihi. King Bharat rejected this material world, considering all types of material pleasure temporary and useless. Leaving his beautiful young wife and family, he worshipped Lord Hari by severe austerities and attained the abode of the Lord after 3 lifetimes. Purport. The complete narration of the 3 lives of Bharat as a king, as a deer, and as an exalted Paramahamsa devotee of the Lord is given in the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 19. Tesham nava nava dvipa patayosha samantataha karma tantra pranetara ekashitir dvijaytayaha. 9 of the remaining sons of Rishabdev became the rulers of the 9 islands of Bharatvarsha, and they exercised complete sovereignty over this planet. 81 sons became twice-born brahmanas and helped initiate the Vedic path of fruitive sacrifices, karma kanda. Purport. The 9 dvipas or islands ruled by the 9 sons of Rishabdev are the 9 varshas of Jambudvip, namely Bharata, Kinara, Hari, Kuru, Hiranmaya, Ramyakya, Ilavrita, Bhadrashva, and Ketu Mala. Text 20 and 21. Okay, so just 21 is there. So I'll read 20 and then we'll do 21 together. Nava Bhavan Mahabhaga Munayo Yartasham Sinaha Shramana Vatarasana Atma Vidya Visharadha. Okay, ready? Your turn. Okay. Kavir Havir Atariksha.
Kavir Havir Antariksha.
Kavir Havir Atariksha.
Kavir Havir Antariksha.
Prabudha Pipalayanaha.
Prabudha Pipalayanaha.
Avihotro Takdumilash.
Avihotro Takdumilash.
Kamasa Karabhajanaha. Kavir Havir Atariksha. Prabudha Pipalayanaha. Avirhotro Tadrumilash. Kamasa Karabhajanaha. Kavir Havir Atariksha. Prabudha Pipalayanaha. Avirhotro Tadrumilash. Kamasha Karabhajanaha.
Kavir Havir Antariksha. Kavir Havir Antariksha. Prabudha Pipalayana. Avirhotra Tadrumilash. Avirhotra Tadrumilash. Kamasa Karabhajana. Kamasa Karabhajana. Kavir Havir Antariksha. Prabudha Pipalayana. Avirhotro Tadrumilash. Kamasa Karabhajana. Kavir Havir Antariksha. Prabudha Pipalayana. Avirhotro Tadrumilash. Kamasa Karabhajana.
Kavir Havir Antariksha.
Kavir Havir Antariksha. Prabudha Pipalayana. Avirhotro Tadrumilash. Kamasa Karabhajana.
What it means?
Hare Krishna. Those who want translation, जिसको translation चाहिए, तेलुगु में कर सकते हैं? Yeah. Anybody ready to do translation? हाँ, yes. तो जिसको अनुवाद चाहिए, फिर अनुवाद करेंगे. Hare Krishna.
You're translating from American to English? Are you translating from American to English?
Translate from American to English to Hindi, Bangla.
Kavi Havi Antariksha. Kavi Habir and Antariksha. Prabhuda Pipalayanaha. Prabhuda and Pipalayana. Avirhotra. Avirhotra. Ata. Also. Jumila. Jumila. Chamasa Karanbhajanaha. Kamasa and Karabhajana. Translation. The 9 remaining sons of Rishabh were greatly fortunate sages who worked vigorously to spread knowledge of the absolute truth. They wandered about naked and were very well versed in spiritual science. Their names were Kavi, Havir, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Jumila, Chamasa, and Karnam Bhajana. So please repeat. The 9 remaining sons of Rishabha were greatly fortunate sages who worked vigorously to spread knowledge of the absolute truth. They wandered about naked and were very well versed in spiritual science. Their names were Kavi, Havir, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa, and Karambhajan. Purport by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nimi, the king of Videha, asked the following 9 questions of the 9 Yogendras, the saintly sons of Rishabh. 1. What is the highest good? Chapter 2, verse 30. What are the religious principles? Dharma. Natural proclivities, svabha. Behavior, achara. Speech, vakya. And outward symptoms, lakshana, of a Bhagavata, a Vaishnava devotee of the Lord. 244. What is the external energy of Vishnu, the Supreme Lord? 3.1. How can one become disassociated from this Maya? 3.17. What is the true identity of Brahman? 3.34. What are the 3 types of karma? Namely, karma based on the enjoyment of the fruits of work, karma offered to the Supreme Lord, and nice karma. 3.41. 7. What are the various pastimes of the various incarnations of God? 4.1. What is the aim or destination of one who is against the Supreme Lord and devoid of bhakti? In other words, a non-devotee. 5.1. And last question, 9. What are the respective colors, forms, and names of the 4 Yuga avatars, the 4 incarnations of the Supreme Lord who appear in the 4 ages? And what is the process of worshiping each of them? 5.19. The transcendental answers to these inquiries were given by the great devotees, Kavi, Havir, Antariksha, Prabhuda, Pipalayana, Avirhotra, Drumila, Chamasa, and Karnambhajan. These 9 Paramahamsas answered the 9 questions, each in turn, in the following verses: 1, 233 to 43, 2, 245 to 55, 3, 3.3 to 316, 4th question, 318 to 33, 5th question, 335 to 40, 6th question, 343 to 55, 7th question, 42 to 423, 8th question, 52 to 18, and 9th question, 520 to 42. Jai. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Om Gana Tamyan Nisha Janan Anjana Shalakaya Chakshu Umri Tamina Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kiramayam Tirasasvapanantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. This microphone reminds me, sometimes you try to fix something, just like he tried very sincerely to fix, and then that's got worse. He tried something else, that got worse. Tried something else, that got worse. And finally say, Krishna, just take it back to the original. Isn't it? I have so many times like that. I see some problem and the solution makes it worse. And it's like, okay, Krishna, how do I understand? Should I try to fix this? Should I tolerate this? There's a nice prayer by a Christian saint, I think Francis. He said something like this. He said, Lord, please give me the strength to change the things I can, and the patience to tolerate the things that I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. You know, it's very true. It's very true. We try to live a God-conscious life, so how do we know what we can try to improve, what we should tolerate? So it's nice to be here again. Thank you for allowing me to come. I was remembering actually when I was here before how enthusiastic the devotees are here. At first, during the kirtan, I was a little unhappy because nobody was dancing. I thought, what am I doing wrong? They always dance here. But then at the end, you danced very nicely. So thank you for being so enthusiastic. I was thinking it's important. It's described being enthusiasm, one of the 6 important qualities necessary for pure devotional service, right? Patience, confidence, enthusiasm, very important. So please always stay enthusiastic in your devotional service. Because we understand our philosophy, right? Prabhupada came to defeat impersonalism and voidism, right? Voidism and impersonalism. So impersonalism in part means thinking that Krishna is not a person. So we think maybe he's some kind of force, he's some energy, but he's a person. So he's a person, we know he has feelings. Our feelings are little tiny drops of his feelings. And when we are enthusiastic for his service, he notices. We're trying to catch his attention. Prabhupada one time, maybe many times, but he said, just like if a worker in the factory wants to meet the president of the company, you can't do that. There's too many barriers. But he said, but if you work in such a way, if you act in such a way that it gets all the way to the top, oh, there's this one employee, he's so enthusiastic, he's so dedicated, he's so loyal, then the big boss, he'll come down to meet that employee. He said like that. So we should think like that. Let me demonstrate my enthusiasm to the Lord. Even if I don't feel enthusiastic, by acting in an enthusiastic way, enthusiasm comes. That's one of the kind of secrets of bhakti. Even we may not feel, because the feelings come and go, right? One day the mind feels happy, the next day sad. One day you feel enthusiastic, the next day lazy. One day you feel happy, and the next day not happy. One day you feel everybody loves me, the next day you think nobody likes me. Isn't it? So despite all of these things, right? Sukha dukkha, just different varieties, sukha and dukkha. We show Krishna, whether I'm happy or sad, I want to serve you. Whether I'm getting some appreciation or no appreciation, I'm going to serve you. Whether it's hot or cold, I'm going to serve you. Whether my body feels good or doesn't feel good, I'm going to serve you. Whether my mind is peaceful or my mind is disturbed, I'm just going to serve you. And he sees that. That's our philosophy. Krishna's in our heart. He's certainly there in the deities, and he's observing to see. Does this soul, there's so many souls, which ones want to come back? He's looking to see, what do you want? Right? He's watching. What do you want? Whatever we want, right? He's the self-sufficient philosopher described in Ishopanishad, who's been fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. So whatever we want, he'll fulfill it. Prabhupada says like that. You want to go to heaven, he'll let you go to heaven. You want to go to hell, you can go to hell. You have to deserve those different positions, but he gives us full scope. So he's a person, he's watching us to see how serious we are and committed in our Krishna consciousness. So we should try to always be very enthusiastic. So first question, I heard that you have many questions, so I'm going to ask more questions than you are. So first question, does that mean that if we're always supposed to be enthusiastic, does that mean that we'll always be successful? Ask you first, pick on you. I know him. He took some classes from me. Yeah? So being always enthusiastic, does that mean we'll always be successful? Yes?
Krishna will take your efforts more than what the output is. You are always successful. In the eyes of Krishna.
In the eyes of Krishna.
Yes.
How about in our eyes? Sometimes you're trying to cook a nice offering for Krishna, but still you forget the salt. Right? Hopefully just once. Don't do it. Right? Or sometimes you're trying to play the mridanga nicely for Krishna and you forget the beat. Or sometimes you're trying to raise funds for Krishna and everybody says no. Right? Isn't it? Or sometimes you're trying to do a special pandal and you do a big event and nobody comes. Right? It happens. It happens. So at least externally, we're not always successful, right? We're not always successful. We can look at our acharyas. We look at Srila Prabhupada. We can even just look at Srila Prabhupada. We can say in hindsight, Prabhupada was super successful. But in the middle of it, we have to ask, was he always successful? Not from such a transcendental perspective, but from a ordinary perspective, was he successful? No, not always. Practically, you say his whole adult life, he met his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right here, Untadanga Road. Maybe that way, maybe some place close. In what year? 1922. And he struggled very hard before coming to America in what year? 65. How many years is that? 43 years. When he got on the boat, how many successes did he have going with him? He'd met how much success did he have? Did he have an institution? Did he have a lot of disciples? Did he have a lot of money? Was he famous all over India? When he met the prime ministers, a couple, right? Lal Bahadur Shastri, only. He met a few governors, maybe, I think, maybe, right? He had 3 cases of his books. Were his books bestsellers? Were they on the Kolkata top 10 list of books? No, he got in that boat. Did he bring a lot of money with him from all of his successes that he had? How much money did he have? 40 rupees. Of course, it was worth more then. But, today, 40 rupees, you can't even buy a limca. Right? Maybe the small size, not the big size. So maybe back then you could buy some of the big size. Right? That's it. So externally, he was not successful. But was he determined? And was he enthusiastic? That we can see. When Prabhupada was in India, he started Back to Godhead. He started it and then did he keep it going? He stopped it. Why did he stop it? He didn't have the energy, he didn't have the money, didn't have the paper, government was making it difficult. So he started, he stopped. When he came to America, right, he started it again. But in India, he had to stop it. How about the League of Devotees? How successful was the League of Devotees? He had to close it, right? He had a nice start. It seemed auspicious. I think the word Radhe was on the building. He was very enthusiastic. The people in that town, they were very, Jhansi, they were very enthusiastic. He thought things were going to go very nicely, but then they took the building away. They took the building away. You may remember, Lilamrita is such a good source, so many other sources. At one point, Prabhupada went and he lived in the ashram of one of his godbrothers. And I don't know if I have the numbers exactly right, but they were printing something like 1,000 of their magazines, or maybe 100. They were printing something, I think, once a month or so. So Prabhupada, he had many, many skills. So he was figuring some negotiation he did. He wrote to his godbrother in charge of the ashram. He said, actually, I figured out how we can print 1,000 magazines instead of 100 for the same price. Or maybe it was 10,000 for 1,000. I remember the numbers. He had all these ideas how to spread preaching. And his godbrother wrote him back and said, Swamiji, thank you so much, but it's not really what we want. And Prabhupada's thinking big, big, big. And he told one of his disciples, give Swamiji a dhoti. Swamiji, maybe it'd be better somewhere else. So in the ultimate sense, Krishna's plan, because what if our Prabhupada had stayed there, some little man, who knows if he would have had that success eventually, right? He wouldn't have gone to America possibly. So there were so many problems that were there. But again, externally, very little success. Very little success. But he remained determined. And later he said that he could see all along Krishna had a plan. So do we always see Krishna's plan?
No.
No. We can't see Krishna's plan. Krishna's very, very big. We're very, very small. We can't always see Krishna's plan. But we know that Krishna has a good plan. And he's including us in his plan. So many of these efforts, none of them you could say really were successful. But Prabhupada said all along, Krishna had a plan. And even when Prabhupada came to America, if you've studied a little bit of the history, was it easy when he came to America? Did success just come his way? Said he struggled for almost a year. I don't know the exact days. Usually they say for a year. But very few people were coming and helping, right? And then described when he was in New York, sometimes he would go down to the dock where he came, where the Scindia steamship line office was, and he would see when's the next boat going back. Because he was thinking, maybe this isn't working, maybe I should just go back. It's not so much describe all of his thinking process. We can just imagine seeing like, maybe I should go back. Okay, the next boat's in 2 weeks. Well, let me stay till at least the next boat, 2 months, whatever it was. Let me continue. But Prabhupada described he went there to see when the next boat was going back. Because there's so little success. Maybe I should go back. And then so many examples. Right, Giriraj Maharaj wrote this nice book about, what is it? Let me build you a temple. What's the title? I'll build you a temple. Beautiful. So many struggles. Big struggles. So many people trying to cheat and take the property, and then his own disciples, they made a big mistake, right? They released the sale document, and Prabhupada had to try to counter the counter of the sale. It was big mess. I remember here, right? Prabhupada left from here, right? The books were shipped from Mumbai, but he left from Kolkata. So it's described, again, he stayed at the Scindia steamship, whatever, campus, where they'd have employees would stay for some time. I can't remember how long, a week, 2 weeks, waiting for the ship. And while he was there, it was described he was going out during the day also trying to preach, get some, funds, some people were trying to support. And one of the ladies who was, I think, a wife of one of the captains or some official, they were living kind of close by, probably was living with people. So described, sometimes she would ask him, Swamiji, how did it go today? How did it go? He would say, and she commented, probably looked a little, his energy was down. And he would say, today not so good, but tomorrow will be better. And then she said she would watch him, and then in a few minutes his energy would pick up again. So even Prabhupada, okay, didn't work today, no success today, but his determination was there, his enthusiasm was there. So we also have to maintain. Our enthusiasm will also be tested, our successes will be tested. But Krishna, he's our founder Acharya. We study his life and we see how we can try to follow a little bit in his footsteps. And even he was tested. Even he had so many challenges. Even Prabhupada had so many setbacks, but he didn't give up. So we should be, we are Prabhupada Nugas. We should make sure we never give up. And whatever tests we face, whatever ordeals we have to go through, that's part of the process of showing Krishna we're serious. We should think like that. Krishna, there's no success, whatever. Sometimes there's a lot of success, sometimes not. Krishna, there's no success today. Krishna, there's no one's appreciating today. Krishna, there's this problem today, the problem today. But allow me to push through this to show you that more than anything else, I want to be your servant, no matter what happens. So in this section, described the history of Lord Rishabdev and his sons are briefly summarized. And it explains in these verses, some of them were kings, some of them were Brahmins who taught karma kanda, which is interesting to see. And 9 described were greatly fortunate. Why were they described as greatly fortunate? You remember? Pure devotees. And what was their activities? Specifically says they were greatly fortunate because they were spreading, they were spreading knowledge of the absolute truth. So what are we trying to do? Spread knowledge of the absolute truth. So according to this, we're greatly fortunate. Here's the word, Mahabhaga. Greatly fortunate souls. So each one of you, each one of us, we are greatly fortunate souls because our authorities, our spiritual leaders, our acharyas, our founder acharya, our gurus, our temple presidents, our GBC members, our senior devotees, they're all trying to engage us in the spreading of transcendental knowledge. So we're actually asked to join with these sages, to be fortunate to spread knowledge of the absolute truth. So we should know clearly this is Prabhupada's mission, this is the mission of ISKCON. He's our founder acharya, means he gives us the purpose, right? If he's the founder, somebody's the founder of some organization that's dedicated to helping children in the cities. That's their mission. Somebody forms a mission, they're dedicated to trying to clean the environment. That's their, if you want to be part of that association, you have to take that mission into your heart. So many different good causes in the world. But Prabhupada's mission is to try to, as he wrote in the 7 purposes, when he first incorporated ISKCON in New York City, the first purpose, to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large. So like if you're going to stay here, if you're going to live here, you're going to be part of this, you're going to tell people, what are you doing? I'm a part of ISKCON. Oh, okay, what do you do? We systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large. Of course, there's other purposes there as well that are equally important. But this is our specific purpose. And then it's so beautiful. I don't have it memorized. I want to memorize it. I don't have it memorized. Then it ends with to try to establish real peace and unity in the world. Does the world need peace today?
Yes.
It's crazy out there. I've been in India for almost 2 months, and I live in Washington, D.C. It's like, I don't want to go back. The last 2 months in that part of the world, absolutely crazy. Is there unity today in the world? So much disuse, so much polarization. Rich people against poor people, white people against black people. I don't know here, but probably Gujaratis against Bengalis, and Bengalis against, people from Andhra. It's just so many conflicts. But we understand, to say I'm Bengali, is that our eternal position? It's just temporary designation. You can be Bengali today and be from, sorry to scare you, you can be from Bihar tomorrow. Right? So these are all temporary things. They're temporary designations. Somebody can be like so proud to be an American, and then, their life ends, and then the next time they're like born in some other place, wherever. Not even a human form of life. People are proud to be human. We can even, next life, not even be human. So what are we? This is established, first teaching the Bhagavad Gita. We're spiritual soul. We're not the body. We're spirit soul. So Prabhupada's mission is to wake this up, is to wake everyone up to try and understand this. So then we're following in the footsteps of these great sages. So then someone might read this verse and say, oh, someone might say, oh, the 9 remaining sons of Rishabh were greatly fortunate sages who worked vigorously to spread knowledge of the absolute truth. And Anuttama was here. He visited, a GBC member, Prabhupada disciple. He said, we're just like these sons. Therefore, they wandered around naked. We should wander naked. Yes? I'm glad to see you all have a lot of cloth. Thank you. I'd be very embarrassed. I'd have to run out. Say, Prabhu, put on some clothes. So what about many brahmacharis here? What about in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam? What does it describe about brahmacharis? How should you dress? Tree bark. Yes, of course, there's not so many trees left in Kolkata. Maybe there's not many trees because in the past ages they all chopped all them. I don't know. We drove out of this where I'm staying, and there are three trees knocked down. Looked like the wind or something, and I don't know. Maybe some brahmacharis came. They cut them down. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. But the Shastra says, right? These were great sages, and they were naked, right? Sukadeva Goswami, did he show up with a fashion-conscious Bollywood dress? No, he was also naked, right? So what does that mean? What does that mean? I mean, I just use that example because it's so obvious. What does that mean? It says right in the Shastra they were naked. Other places, right, describes great sages. What, Dhruva? What, he fasted, and then after some time he was only air, right? Stopped all that completely. So we should do that, right? No breakfast today. No lunch today. No dinner today. No prasadam tomorrow. Only leaves. And then only air. Next week, air. After that, nothing. Right? Acharya Radhana Prabhu would be here all by himself trying to worship the deities. He would be very skinny. Just enough strength to turn. Lord, I don't know why everyone left. Why did they all go? Something's wrong. You see? So what's the principle we have to understand? What's the principle?
Distance. Focus on it. Not get distracted by others.
Focus on the main goal. And then Prabhupada would many times say we have to preach, we have to live, we have to study according to time, place, and circumstance, right? So we have to be aware of that. Just like you mentioned a couple of courses I help facilitate. So there's, especially in the leadership course and in the ISKCON communications course, we really stress this idea of time, place, and circumstance. We have to understand what's the best thing for this time, what's the best thing for this place, what's the best thing for these circumstances. So certain things that work in Mayapur may not work in Calcutta. Certain things that work in Washington, D.C. definitely won't work in Moscow. Certain things that work for brahmacharis are inappropriate for grahasta, vice versa. So according to time, place, and circumstance. So how do we understand that? Because in this verse, we read about these great sages, we're understanding we're following their footsteps, but why do we follow in some footsteps, not other footsteps? Right? How do we know that? So how do we understand that better? So just some thoughts on that. This is a big, big reason we have acharyas. And it's a very important reason we should study, especially the life of our founder acharya. Because we see Prabhupada, he took this ancient knowledge of the Bhagavatam, right, 5,000 some years ago, and he brought it into the present day. So we know so many things from thousands of years ago. They don't apply today. How do you make them apply? From whatever culture, so many things. So it takes some sensitivity. It takes some intelligence to understand what do we do? What things can be adjusted? What things cannot be adjusted? So our acharyas, they give us insight. They give us guidelines. And they actually give us the intelligence, right? Intelligence is discriminating, right? You can tell what one thing is good, what's bad. Just like it's described, I heard the other day again, haven't heard this in years, right? You starve a fever, feed a, you know that expression? Feed a cold, right? So if some sannyasi was ill in Mayapur, he was saying, yeah, I'm fasting because I have a temperature. When you have a temperature, Prabhupada, I believe Prabhupada said that you should don't feed it. If you have a cold, you should continue to eat, or else you get more sick. So again, time, place, and circumstance. So it's so important we remember, Prabhupada is sitting here on the Vyasasan. We're chanting Guru Puja every morning. We're reciting his pranam prayers or studying his books. We should also study his life. and understand how he did things, and try to understand why he did things and how he acted in certain ways. Just like, for instance, we know Prabhupada said, my only credit is that I followed strictly my spiritual master. I didn't change anything. Right? Prabhupada said like that. I didn't change anything. So what are some examples of things that Prabhupada changed? He changed a lot of things. Number of rounds, right? Before 64. Right, Prabhupada had that exchange with Mukunda Prabhu, now Maharaj. He asked him, can you chant 64 rounds? No. Can you chant 32 rounds? No. Can you chant 16 rounds? I'm not even sure he said yes to that. I think he said we can try. I think he said we can try. Prabhupada said, okay, 16 at least. Right? So Prabhupada, in a sense, he changed that. What else did Prabhupada change? Yet in the West, especially, he had ashrams for ladies. Not so common in India, right? Traditionally, it wasn't there. Prabhupada, right? There's Brahmachari ashram, right? We have ISKCON Brahmacharini ashram. And I can say in the United States, the ladies, when I was temple president in Denver, the ladies distributed more books. They brought in more Lakshmi. Lady was the head pujari, was the head of the kitchen, and I don't know what else. And a lot of times, if I would, like, if there was some article was late, I knew it was so-and-so Prabhu. It was never so-and-so Mataji. That was my personal experience. So, Prabhupada understood, you know, in the modern times, and especially then in the West, and I think these days almost every place, you know, the ladies can do so much, but it was not the tradition. So what else did Prabhupada do that was different?
Marriages?
Yeah, he performed marriages. He even writes, I think in Bhagavad Gita, he says this is not ordinary, right? How many sannyasis do we know that perform marriages? He didn't perform marriages, but he could see this is needed. So he did it in order to help the society. Thanks, to a good one. What's another one? What else did he do? Even where did Prabhupada go when he went to preach in the West? Where did he go? He went to what city? Went to America, right? Went to New York. Where did the others go? He wasn't the first disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to try going to the West. Where did the others go? They went to London. Prabhupada went to New York. Why did he go to New York? Who can say? Maybe today he'd go to Beijing.
God was spent in London. He said, maybe if I have to feel better, feel like New York.
Yeah, he said like that. Yeah, he did. And he also said, why? Because New York was what?
The new capital.
That was the new capital. That was the most important city in the world. So previously they went to London, but then he decided to go to New York because time, place, and circumstance, right? Because he was really understanding the principle. And we also know Prabhupada, did Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur tell Prabhupada to start Rath Yatra parades? Wasn't part of his instruction. But what was his instruction? Preach in the West, spread Krishna consciousness, right? So Prabhupada, time, place, and circumstance. It's a wonderful story. He was in New York, he was in San Francisco, and he was looking out his window, and he was seeing these like kind of medium-sized trucks, like small truck from India. They have like, I saw one the other day here. There's a truck, and then there's just a flat bed on the back of it. So in America, they have sophisticated term. They call it a flatbed truck. Very high-tech name. So flat. So Prabhupada was watching that. So he called Shyamasundar. He said, I've been thinking we should have Rath Yatra. And you can change this truck. You can turn it into a Rath Yatra cart. Of course, these days, they're beautiful carts like you have here. But the first one was on the back of a truck. So if you talk to the pundits in Puri and said, we're going to put Jagannath on the back of a truck, well, what would they have said? No, you can't do this. They have so many objections, right? Because you're not strictly following the details, right? But Prabhupada said, no, but what's the purpose? What's the purpose of Rath Yatra? Is it to do the ritual exactly right every time? That's important. Was that the most important purpose? Or is the purpose so thousands and millions of people can see Jagannath? So in the same way it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur personally saw his disciples go to London. personally saw some of them come back, greeted them, welcomed them, all of that. So someone could say, why are you're disagreeing with your guru? He only saw his disciples go to London. Why are you going to New York? Big offense. But no, why London? See? So Prabhupada said he didn't change anything, but externally changed so many things because he was acting according to what principle? Time, place, and circumstance. So each of us, we have to keep in mind what exactly was our mission, Prabhupada's mission, Lord Krishna's mission, Lord Chaitanya's mission, spreading knowledge of the absolute truth. And keep in mind that sometimes the details may change. Just like in the Nectar Devotion, Prabhupada mentions that. He says, Rupa Goswami in this section, he's only speaking about the principles. He's not speaking about the detail. He said, just as an example, the principles one should accept a guru, spiritual master, the detail of what he asks you to do or she asks you to do and how you execute that, that's a detail. Rupa Goswami is not going to talk about that, but we're talking about the big picture. So we just need to be careful that we study and we pray, because this application of time, place, and circumstance can really mess us up. Just like someone says you have to take a cold bath, okay? True. What if you're standing in 3 feet of snow and you're deathly ill? Should you take a cold bath? No. Foolish. Someone says you should take prasadam. What if you have a very, very upset stomach and you ate too much? Should you take prasad? No, because what's the purpose of taking prasad? To purify us and to give us strength to serve Krishna. So we have to understand, when do we apply, when do we not apply? Takes a little common sense. There's one story I was thinking. There's so many stories. Prabhupada, I'm pretty sure it's Sridhar Nandamaraj. And he describes he was with Prabhupada and somebody brought some sweet, Mahaprasad. So he took this prasadam and then Prabhupada was watching and he chastised him. Why didn't you wash your hands? What kind of, Brahman, I don't know exactly what kind of Brahman are you, what kind of Vaishnava are you, you don't even wash your hands. Don't you know the basic rules? So Maharaj went and he washed, and then a few minutes later, hour later, there was a bunch of guests came. Prabhupada spoke, Maharaj was still sitting in the room. And at the end, they passed out Mahaprasadam. So Maharaj was thinking, I learned last time, you have to wash your hands. So he went someplace, he got a bowl and he got a pitcher. It was a crowded room, more crowded than this from what I understand. And he was stepping over everybody, trying to get through so each person, after taking prasadam, could wash their hands. Prabhupada chastised him. What are you doing? Why are you disturbing everyone? Right? Time, place, and circumstance, isn't it? Just like we know when we see a saintly person, we should pay obeisances, right? Full dandavats. Okay, time, place, and circumstance. If you're in the airport, cars are racing by, you're in the middle of the street, should you pay obeisances? No. Just like in Mayapur, there's 10,000 people packed into a room to hold 1,000. Sometimes people, they pay obeisances right across the path. And while they're there, they chant the Brahma Samhita. Or maybe the whole Bhagavad Gita, maybe the Bhagavatam, Time, place, and circumstance, Turn the other way, so you don't go against the traffic, or pay your obeisances standing up. When you get outside, there's more space. You can pay obeisances 5 times, 10 times. Just make up for whatever offense there is, not doing it that one time, But time, place, and circumstance. So how do we know? How do we know what's appropriate? A few thoughts come to mind. It's described in the Shastra that one quality necessary for pure devotional service in our bhakti, always think ourselves meek and humble. I always think, I don't really know. I don't really know. I'm not so qualified. Always check with our authorities. In the society that Prabhupada created, there's so many more senior people that can give us guidance. It's also described, third thing, just a few points, there's probably many more. We should always think I'm a fool. We should always be humble. We should always think I'm a fool, which means if I'm a fool, then I need to be 0.4. I'm ready to be corrected. This is maybe one of the most important things about being a devotee. We have to be ready to be corrected, right? And who can correct us in devotional service? Anyone can say, answer that. Who can correct us? Anyone, right? Sometimes you think, wait a minute. I joined the movement June 1st, 2016. You came June 3rd, 2016. Who are you to correct me? Right? Or I'm wearing, saffron, you're wearing white. Who are you to correct me? Right? Or I'm Prabhu. I'm so advanced. I got a man's body. You have a lady's body. Who are you to correct me? I'm 27. You're 26. Who are you to correct me? It's all nonsense. We should think I'm a aspiring Vaishnava, and any instructions I get, I should take advantage of that. So we should always be ready to be corrected, to seek feedback. This really takes humility, that we should try to think, I have only a little time here. I can say, I can testify. I remember when Acharya Radha Prabhu, he had no gray hair. Now he has a little gray hair, okay? He remembers me when I had a little gray hair. Now I have no hair. Okay? I had my 70th birthday last year, end of last year. That's old. I was thinking, I'm 20 years older than 50. Like 50 is old. I'm 20 years older than 50. And it goes by very, very fast. That's one thing you can plan. It goes by very, very fast. So don't waste time. And if we're not wasting time, if my goal is to become a pure devotee of Krishna and assist my spiritual master and my spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada, all the Vaishnavas in their service, then I have to be open to learning how I can be the best, which means I have to be open for feedback. People tell me that there's a better way of doing that. My false ego can say, no, I don't want to hear that. Okay. So you won't get that advice for you can waste another year before you're ready to get that advice. Right? Maybe next lifetime you're ready. Maybe 10 lifetimes, maybe 20. You still need that correction somehow or other. We should think like that, always ready to give feedback. And as far as others too, we should think, not that, I'm a senior devotee, or I'm a, sannyasi devotee, or Prabhupada disciple devotee, whatever. And therefore, I just came from, you mentioned the seminar, ISKCON leadership seminar, being guru in ISKCON. One of the points that's made there, it's not that even one becomes a spiritual master, that's not a license to chastise people. It's not that, I'm a year older, so I have a license, I have these nice plaques, An appreciation of his service of many, many years, Vishnu Das is hereby authorized to chastise everyone else in the temple younger than him. Anyone have that certificate? No. But we all should carry in our heart, this is an appreciation of the many, many years of service performed by Vishnu Das. Vishnu Das is hereby authorized to encourage and appreciate all the devotees. And who's the devotees? Everybody's a devotee. There's no non-devotees. They're acting like non-devotees, but they're also devotees. They just forgot. So please keep that in mind. Remember, we're not here to criticize devotees or materialistic people. We're here to help uplift others. And we should always remember, too, without Prabhupada's grace, without Prabhupada's help, without the Lord's grace, without the Guru's grace, we'd be doing the same thing. Never think, now I've, chanted Hare Krishna for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Now I've given so much money. Now I've done so much tapasya. Now I'm totally safe from the grip of Maya. Never think like that. There's one time at least they were asking, Prabhupada was praying in front of the deities, and the devotees asked Prabhupada, what are you praying for? Prabhupada said, I'm praying that I will not fall under Maya's grip. I won't again be said. Prabhupada was praying like that. Prabhupada was praying like that. So who are we? Sometimes we think. So last thought, in terms of our, don't be proud, but also feel grateful. I mentioned here, I remember last year, somehow I remember saying this nice expression. Prabhupada said, become Krishna conscious and enjoy life with a thrill at every moment. But part of that thrill is just feeling grateful. We wake up in the morning. Being Krishna conscious really means we wake up in the morning, Krishna, thank you for waking me up again. Krishna, thank you for the oxygen, right? It's this planet, the oxygen there's not a lot of pure oxygen left. You know, thank you for the oxygen. Thank you for the water. There's not a lot of water left you can drink. You know, thank you for food. There's not a lot of food left. You know, Kali Yuga is progressing, you know. Thank you, you know. Dear Lord Krishna, thank you for Bhakta Rajiv, who snored all night long, kept me awake half the night, because otherwise I would still think I could enjoy this material world. You're so kind to me. Yes. Thank you, dear Krishna. You gave me a stomach ache when I ate too many sweet balls. I know I shouldn't have had so many sweet balls. You're very kind. You gave me a little stomach ache so I can learn from this. Right? Isn't it? We should think like that, you know. We should pray like that. And as Prabhupada said, we should, if we feel really grateful, we should feel grateful to especially our founder Acharya, our Siksha Gurus, our Diksha Guru, all the Vaishnava, all the associates we have. And Prabhupada says that actually we should feel a sense of debt to our spiritual master, he mentions, but to all the Vaishnava, those who give us knowledge. And Prabhupada says it's not possible to repay that debt. It's actually not possible. It's impossible. He writes, I think it's 4th Canto, if I remember correctly, he writes it. He says, well, we should try to. And he says, the way we should try to repay that debt, we should preach vigorously. Prabhupada writes, we should preach vigorously just as our Guru is doing, as Prabhupada says, as I am doing. So, and of course, that preaching we should do according to time, place, and circumstance. See what's best, according to time, place, and circumstance. So I touched on a lot of things, a lot of verses, a lot of points were made here, but I think the most important, these 9 sons were greatly fortunate. So we should always remember that. The mind tries to tell us so many obstacles, so many problems. You know, you're disqualified in so many ways. No, we're greatly fortunate. We're so very greatly fortunate. Somehow, if we can just see it. I took French. I was very bad in languages. I took French when I was like 13. And the French teacher, she was from France. She used to chastise the students. She said, you American kids, you have no appreciation. You're not grateful. You know, because she could, I don't know her background, but she could see of so many blessings, but not appreciate. So we have so many blessings. We should try to appreciate the blessings we have. Very fortunate. Greatly fortunate, describes here. Okay, some comments or questions we have till 9:30? Okay, some questions?
If there is any question, we'll send the mic.
And try to specify. If there's an easy question, I'll answer it. If it's difficult, Acharya Radha Prabhu will answer it. Questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
You mentioned about enthusiasm. So there are 2 types of enthusiasm. One's false enthusiasm, when we first begin, and one is real enthusiasm.
Where is that described? False enthusiasm.
I need to read the scriptures there.
I think it's enthusiasm for a good cause, enthusiasm for not such a good cause. You know, that, I mean, the world's full of enthusiastic people. When I get this skyscraper built, I'll be happy. You know, when I buy this clothes, I'll be happy. When I get this jewelry, I'll be happy. When I get this car, I'll be happy. When I get this degree. So they're also enthusiastic. They're using their energy. But we would understand that if that's all they're doing, it's misdirected. So you can build a building, it's fine, but put Krishna there. You can have a nice car, but put Krishna there. You can make a lot of money, but put Krishna there. So it's misdirected enthusiasm. In that way, it's bad. Yeah, so go ahead with your question.
So the question is, what is the substance behind this real enthusiasm?
Yeah, so how do we generate it? Real enthusiasm? Yeah, a big part of it is just learning to appreciate what we have. I remember that as a new devotee, I was told, I don't remember what quote that from Prabhupada, it was one of those Prabhupada said, that if we actually understood our situation, we would run from service to service to service. I have very little time. I've got a great opportunity. I don't know how long I'll have the opportunity. I don't know how much time I'll have. Let me not waste a second. So I think a big part of enthusiasm comes from knowledge and awareness of the opportunities we have. And in a practical way, association. Very important to associate with devotees, super important. And also, without feeling any prejudice against anyone, we should try to also associate with devotees that are enthusiastic. We should generate that enthusiasm among ourselves. So how do I get enthusiastic? I should try to, read and chant and become aware of the opportunity I have. Just like here, I'm looking at is this Kim? Okay, so Narada is here. Is this Nimi? Is this King Nimi who's bathing his feet? So, some great king. So he's the king, and Narada came. He sets him on the throne, and he washes his feet. So kings normally don't wash the feet of other people, right? The degree of opulence they have, we can't even fathom. Why is he doing this? He's feeling fortune. He realizes, wow, what a great opportunity. So he's taking advantage of that. He's putting himself in a very humble position because he's realizing the opportunity. So in the same way, we should, if we have some knowledge of, this material world is not a nice place. At least the material consciousness is not nice. It misleads us down so many false things. It's not nice. And now I have the opportunity to awaken real knowledge. Wow. Let me take advantage. Gornitai, thank you. You've appeared here. Mahaprashadam, Ki Jai, sanctified by the Lord. Right? Bhagavatam, wow, I get to hear about the pastimes of Krishna, great devotees. Sleep, Haribo, I get to rest my body so that I can do more service tomorrow. Right? Laundry, Ki Jai, I get to clean my dhoti, my kurta, so I can have a nice clean dhoti for Krishna. Like that. I mean, just imagine the pure devotees, everything they do, they do out of love for Krishna. Every little thing they do, it's described devotees who are always amazed. Prabhupada was so attentive to every detail, because every single thing he did for Krishna. Every little thing. So sometimes we think, who cares? It doesn't matter. Just like with all due respects, I was recently visiting one of the temples in North America. I will not name it, but this was August 2024, and they had a big sign in one of the windows: "Celebrate Gaur Purnima 2024." Gaur Purnima is when? March. April, May, June, July, August. 5 months this sign sat there. Was I the first devotee to ever enter that building? Was I the first devotee to ever visit there? They have Sunday feasts, they have morning program, hundreds and thousands of people coming. So why was that sign still there? I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. It's not my sign. It's not my duty. It's not my business. But if we're devotees, it's Krishna's temple. I'm his servant. Right? We should think like that. I'm Krishna's servant. If I'm Krishna's servant and Krishna asked me to do, if Krishna said, okay, whatever your name might be, Vishnu, I want you to do X. Would we say, Krishna, if you came into the Mongol Arctic one day, Gornitai speaks to you and says, I want you to do this service. Would we say, I don't know if I like that one. What's my other choice? Would we say like that? No, because, wow, Krishna's speaking to me. So in a similar way, we should think, if I'm Krishna's servant, anything and every service that can be done, I take responsibility for it. So I was there on a Sunday. I had to kind of chastise the whole community. I was embarrassed. The temple was not clean. And there's stuff, like I said, how do you have a sign 6 months old? We should think like that. So here I was noticing the temple, the deity room is so nice and clean. The temple's nice and clean. So clearly everybody's understanding this is Krishna's place. We have to take good care of it. Outside, I'm not sure you're convinced. I think somebody else owns that grass out there. Who owns the grass out there? Who owns it? Krishna. Who owns the tables? Krishna, right? So, the tables are disarrayed. The grass has got so many things. Just if any of you came in the morning, Mangalarti, they open the curtains and there's paper and there's water bottles and there's some chairs thrown in the corner. Where's that Pujari? What a nonsense. What happened? Isn't it? The whole temple would be upset with him or her. Some places her, right? How is that? How could you do that? It's Krishna's altar. It's nonsense. See? But then we step outside. Okay, no more Krishna. See? The pure devotee Prabhupada sees Krishna everywhere. At least we have to see on Krishna's property. So please, I would request you all, don't think you're some kind of caste Brahmin. Is our philosophy about making caste Brahmins? There's 9 of the sons. They were greatly fortunate spreading the absolute truth. The other, so many, 90 or something like that, they were teaching Karma Kanda. Do we teach Karma Kanda? No. What do we teach? Pure bhakti. Pure bhakti. There's so many stories. Prabhupada, one time he went on his morning walk. Maybe it was Calcutta. Might have been Calcutta. And he came back from the walk, and many of the ladies stayed back, as they often did, and they did a maha cleaning his room, everything spotlessly clean. So Prabhupada came back and he looked around the room and he could tell how they cleaned it especially nice. So he sat down at his desk and there was a little box, something in the box. And he opened up the box and he took his finger and he wiped his finger along the edge and there was dust. And he held up his finger and said, "Who has cleaned this room?" He was so detail-oriented. So detail-oriented. So we should think like that, So, and we should think too, what if when outside people come, we should, just like I just came from Mayapur, and Mayapur has a problem outside the gate. It's like, come on, people, that's, the building, the trash in front of the ISKCON property is just as much ISKCON's problem as inside the gate. But at least inside the gate, it's very nice. So many flowers every morning, so many people sweeping the streets. And what happens is you feel peaceful. You go where there's some cluttered place, your mind can't be so peaceful. It's right, all the sages would go to the forest. Why would they go to the forest? It was like an oasis. It was peaceful. It was calm there. So we should think like that. So please, all of you, if you walk by, you see some paper. I'm looking at some right now. We should think, okay, this is my duty to pick this up. It's my duty to make Krishna's temple clean. It's my duty to make everything neat and clean and cared for. Not that it's just inside, but outside too. And eventually, we should think the whole planet belongs to Krishna. I should try, just like we have this ISKCON Environmental Initiative, we have World Cleanup Day. Because who's the world belong to? Right? Even someone may think, okay, this is the edge of the temple. That's not the temple. Just as Vaishnavas, right? We're Vaishnavas. You see, people, their habits are so bad. It's getting worse in America too. Throwing trash and that. But at least we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't think, well, okay, I can't throw any trash inside the temple, but outside the temple I can throw my plastic bags because Krishna's not there. Somebody tell me, where is Krishna not? Is there any place Krishna's not? Is there any place Krishna doesn't own? Is there any place Krishna doesn't see? We should think like that. Okay. Other question? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you for this wonderful class. Prabhu, you gave a few...
In ISKCON, there's only 2 kind of classes. There's nice classes and there's wonderful classes. I don't know which one is better, but every class, thank you for the nice class, thank you for the wonderful class, so yes, and thank you for the wonderful question that's coming, I'm sure.
You gave few small examples of how in this world we get pains, like you gave very few examples, small examples of people snoring and we don't get sleeps.
And some of it's very big. Some of the pain is very big. Yeah.
And we do learn and grow in Krishna consciousness in those particular situations. Why is it so? Why is it because we are untrained, that we don't learn from the situations when we are in flourishing situations where devotees are praising us. At that time we get pumped up, we get proud, and we don't learn from those situations, and we learn from tougher situations, which shakes us from inside.
Yeah, there's kind of a few questions wrapped into one. One thing is, I would respectfully disagree with your premise that when people appreciate us, that you said praise, but I would say appreciate, that we get puffed up. Acharya Ratna knows in the communications course, we do a whole session where devotees practice appreciating each other. And we talk about how, first of all, we should do it, right? Krishna says, one who says he's my devotee is not really my devotee, only one who's a devotee, my devotee. And then all the way down, Lord Chaitanya says, if you want to chant the holy name, you have to respect others. He doesn't say senior devotees, he doesn't say Vaishnavas, he doesn't say Hindus, he doesn't say Prabhupada disciples, he doesn't say sannyasis, he doesn't even say human beings, he says others. If you want to chant the holy name, you have to respect others. So then we talk about how important it is to get appreciation amongst devotees, because we need that enthusiasm. How am I doing? Like you just said, thanks for the wonderful class. If you said, first of all, I'd like to say it was a horrible class, and now here's my question, I might feel like, might be true, but it's not. I'll probably never give another class in my life, So actually, a lot of times when we appreciate, somebody cooks something, it means all of us, right? We're sitting here, somebody somewhere, I don't know where, is cooking prasadam for us, right? They're in a hot kitchen, and it's going to get even hotter as the hot season comes. It's not easy. There's a lot of austerity there. And we take that prasadam, and sometimes we don't even think about it. But what if they didn't cook for us? You go down sometimes a notch or two, there's somebody who's going to clean the pots. They don't clean the pots, the cook comes in, what happens? No cook, right? Most places the cooks don't clean all the pots. Somebody has to help. So how much are we dependent upon those pot washers? So we should expand ourselves, and we should offer appreciation, And it can make such a big difference. So we should try. Don't think, okay, if I appreciate someone, they'll get puffed up. Actually, usually the opposite is there. Generally opposite. You tell someone, thank you so much for cooking the prasadam. I really appreciate it. They feel like, wow, actually, I didn't do a very good job today. I had a choice of making an extra sabji, and I didn't do it. So maybe tomorrow I'll cook an extra sabji because he's appreciating what I'm doing. It works like that in brief. So that's one part of what you said. And the other part is sometimes we learn from the pain and not from the pleasure. Is that what you're saying? I think we should learn. We're actually meant to learn from both. Every circumstance, honor and dishonor, pleasure and pain, fame and infamy. Krishna says we have to tolerate those things, and they can also be impetus for us. I mean, if we have a friend, we all have friends. If you spend some time with a friend, whatever, reading Shastra, taking a walk, chanting together, whatever. And you get some sense of, I like being with this friend. I feel, inside I feel more comfortable. That should help us understand what it must be like to be with Krishna. This is one spirit soul in my life, out of my life, maybe just never see him again at the end of this lifetime, maybe not again at the end of this day. But Krishna is a person who's been with me forever, and I will be with him forever when I realize that. So it's a reflection, just how dear that must be. And when the difficulties come, and sometimes they're very hard, just try to, so many ways we respond to that, but part of it is to learn. This is not a nice place, right? Prabhupada says it's no place for gentlemen. Well, there's no place for gentlemen. And then we should also describe, we should, as Vaishnavas, we should think whatever difficulty, whatever pain I'm receiving is much minimized by Krishna's mercy. I was probably meant to suffer much, much worse. And use that as impetus. When we see a beautiful sunset, we should think, who's the creator behind this designer? Ultimately Krishna. Brahma helped, but ultimately it's Krishna. So that should inspire us to Krishna. When we see suffering, oh boy, it's a terrible place. It should inspire us to Krishna. You see a mother so many in the world, even like a cow with his calf, how much affection there is there, or in human beings, how much affection between the mother and the child. So that should inspire us to think about just how intense must the love be when it's awakened between the soul and Krishna. Everything can be an impetus for us. Ideally, everything should be an impetus. That answer your question? Or you had some other nuance of that? That's okay. Yeah, it's just something we aspire for. We have to get purified. A lot of layers around our consciousness. Well, we have time for one more question. Not so many ladies, but any ladies too? Question? No? Okay.
You are saying that how we should be always eager to seek feedback so that we can improve. Otherwise, maybe next life or maybe life, we don't know. Because mistakes need to be corrected today or tomorrow, someday. And so how to sometimes we get many feedbacks and we think, oh, now it's enough now. Now it's too much.
Yes.
No, I don't want anyone to let me now enough feedback and let me do something about it now. And so how to deal with that?
Well, one thing, I mentioned it briefly, but it's good to expand on it, that we should also know how to give feedback. What's the purpose of feedback? Improvement, right? Improvement for who? Well, for the person we're speaking to, right? So, and that also means time, place, and circumstance. We have to be able to see. I remember you mentioned I was a temple president for years. I remember very clearly some people I had a very close relationship with. If I was going to give them some, something was wrong or needed to be improved, I could immediately tell them on the spot. They would go, oh, okay, I'll fix it, and done. There are other people the relationship was not so close. And maybe I have to wait like a week, get the right time done. I remember there was other people that, small number, relationship was so not good. Sometimes I would be carrying things for like months, waiting to give some, and they would sometimes come to me and say, I'm having this problem with so-and-so, what do you think? Well, if you get upset and you yell, then this is what happens. But if you just go up to them ahead of time, say you yell at people, they're not going to hear it. So that's one thing. You have to think in terms of what they're going to hear. But also, like in the courses, talk about feedback sandwich. So 2 positives, 1 room for improvement. So the Prabhu might have said, thank you for your class. I really appreciated the insights you gave about the sages. And I like the story about Rina and Maharaj. Your jokes are terrible. See? Right? He's not looking at me, but he could have said like that when he gave feedback. So because he said 2 positives, okay, then the room for improvement is not so hard to take. Okay? But if he just comes out, how did you like class? Your jokes are horrible. And that's all he says. It's hard for me to hear because I'm a conditioned soul. So we shouldn't expect that everyone is so advanced that they don't need some, feedback is to improve. It's just kind of scientific. If you give me, this is a positive, there's some room for improvement, and another positive, it's much easier for me to hear. And the positive feedback is also good because then I know, okay, I should continue that. If you just tell me what not to do, then I don't know what I should do. But if you say, the way you pronounce the mantras in the kirtan was very inspiring, and I would suggest maybe, be a little more careful about this and this, and also this was great. And then you can hear it. So they use this term like a sandwich, like there's the bread and there's the veggie burger in between, like that. Is that okay? Yeah. How to take feedback humbly. In one of the courses, it's very blunt. It says, when you ask for feedback, please give me feedback, then take notes and shut up. It actually uses those words in the book, shut up. So we have to like really try to listen. in the mood of I want to improve, and let me try to hear. And it doesn't always come easy, because some people very clearly are our well-wishers, and other people sometimes you wonder, do they really, are they giving this improvement to help me? Or there's some other reason, because we're conditioned. Sometimes anger might come in, or jealousy sometimes come in, or sometimes someone's harsh. Sometimes they don't even really know. Maybe the feedback's not so good. We should try to be humble and okay, what's Krishna trying to tell me? I remember, just pops in my mind now, there was some older doctor in Boulder, Colorado, which was near our temple in Denver, and she was like a herbalist. And I remember I went to her one time. She said, yeah, these herbs are very good for you. The reason your health is not so good, you were born in a family of meat eaters and you stopped eating meat. You should start eating meat again. So it's not every feedback you have to believe. I said, thank you very much. I said, thank you very much. And I'm thinking, no, thank you. I didn't go see her again either. Yeah. So it's not that every feedback is always, sometimes we have to, like they say, take it with a grain of salt. But there's probably some truth there. Okay. We should stop now? Okay. Thank you very much. Please remain enthusiastic. It's nice to visit here. I usually stop on the way out. I have a plane flight at 3 o'clock tomorrow morning back to the U.S. I like to see your deities are so beautiful. I'm sure you don't invite too many people here. They'll feel too jealous. And please do remember, they don't just own that room, and they don't just own this room, they own those rooms too, It's important. We should train our minds like that. We should train our minds to see what's wrong. And not become discouraged, but, it's like Prabhupada. You imagine, 3 ladies, 5 ladies, 10 ladies, big maha cleanup, but Prabhupada's looking, okay, I have to teach them. Okay, so open the box, right? So he's looking, where is there room for improvement? We should push ourselves like that. Don't be discouraged, because there's so many ways we need to improve. But, see it as an opportunity to do a little bit better. When everybody comes here, in their mind, they should think, oh, I know I've left Kolkata. Now I'm in Vaikuntha. Like you read the descriptions in the Bhagavatam, right, about Dwarka and sometimes even the heavenly planets. You read, let's say Dwarka, the beautiful flowers and water on the road, and everything is so peaceful and neat and clean. And, we want to try to make that atmosphere for everybody. Okay. There's one last story. There was one letter, Prabhupada. They sent some pictures to Prabhupada or something. Bhadranath Swami tells the story. They sent some pictures to Prabhupada of a Harinam or a big festival or something like that. So Prabhupada wrote back as he did, tell so-and-so this was good, and yes, do that, don't do that. And then at the end of the letter said, thank you very much for the pictures of the photo of the festival. He said, please, for my sake, please try to dress nicely. He said, for my sake. He didn't say you're dressing badly, it's going to discourage me. He said, for my sake. Like that. So, yeah. So for Prabhupada's sake, we should try to keep everything neat and clean for him. Okay, thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Grace Anuttama Prabhu ki
Jai.